The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Phixated Podcast. I am your host, Mike Azalina, and I am joined by a guy who whooped me up and down Citizens Bank Park at the Upper Deck Golf event last Saturday. Regz, that was a blast, man.
First of all, I'm glad you had fun. Thanks again for coming with. Again, I appreciate that. Was glad to take someone who I knew would just appreciate being in the venue, maybe more than anything, and just being able to walk around and do that is, the cherry on top. But just being in the venue in that space and during that time and all those things, got to bring somebody who appreciates it. So I'm glad you had fun. I think that it's a blast. This is the second year doing it. Did it last year with my brother. It's just a lot of fun. It's just a good way to spend an afternoon.
What a humble guy. I mean, you could have come on here and just raked me through the coals. You could have like totally dismantled my ego.
Oh, no.
In the first minute of this show. What a gentleman you are. You are probably the only roommate that would have done that.
Yeah, see, I feel like if it was a chance to roast Fairbanks or Stein, I probably would do it. You're probably one of you and Ryan, and I don't really get on Josh for anything. You're probably the three that I wouldn't, I'm not going to rake you guys. Stein, it's just fun. Fairbanks, I don't beat at that many things. So it's nice to take advantage when you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Phil and I have always, bashed our heads together for whatever, in the most loving way. But I felt like I had a little experience going in, I feel like.
Listen to this.
And for whatever reason, I seem to I don't know, I might play the best golf I ever play at these Upper Deck events. You've never seen somebody pick up rental clubs and be more dialed in from 118 yards and in than this guy at these things. You get me on a real course, that is not the case.
Super dialed in. Because in full transparency, my first shot went sideways, and not sideways in the air, sideways, almost hit people sideways. After that, I settled in quite a bit.
Yes.
But I just couldn't find the distance. It didn't matter. I just couldn't find there were a couple I pulled here and there, which is pretty typical of me playing any sort of golf, especially with an iron. Wedges, I'm pretty consistent and accurate with. But I could not find the distance. I was over hitting irons quite a bit. They were rolling through the green. They'd land on the green and roll over the green. But Regz does get the opportunity to pick a TikTok dance that I have to do for the channel. Also, I need to follow up. Did you win the closest to the pin?
I don't know. I haven't gotten an email, so I guess I did not.
Well, maybe it just hasn't. Okay, let's pause for a second. Let's debrief this. So for those of you that don't know how this works, I want to be very clear. You get 9 holes. We had 18 balls, so 2 balls per hole, and then we had 4 mulligans. And you walk around Citizens Bank Park. They have greens set out with holes. Yep, in the outfield, and you are to basically look at the signage, and it says you're shooting for the red flag. The red flag from here is 35 yards. So you are trying to get it within that circle. And we did basically shot play, right? So, it was Regz against myself, and I think he beat me by 6 strokes. I didn't win a single hole. I think we tied twice.
We did tie some of them,
yep. Yeah, 2 or 3 times. So when you're done, since Regz had the VIP package, you could do the putting contest, which we both did very well in.
Yeah.
The putting contest, the long drive contest, which we both did not do very well.
Not surprisingly.
And then closest to the pin, which when we got over there, Regz asked, "What is the number?" And I think it was like 5.5 when we got over there.
I think like 4 feet 7 inches or something. It was
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, freaking Regz goes up and on his first shot puts it within 2 feet, and I was convinced walking away. No doubt in my mind that no one was beating 2 feet.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it takes some time. I don't know. I also don't know if they do it per day. Like if there's a winner per day, or if it's like the whole event,
the whole week.
So I'm not sure. But no, I have not received any email yet. I mean, if somebody got it closer, kudos to them.
Yeah, because you were sitting right on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for those of you wondering, I didn't get it across the water, so don't worry. There was no question about Azzy, whether or not Azzy was making it happen.
Yeah.
So
just to be very clear,
it was a blast.
This is abnormal for me. I've never won a contest like that or anything like that.
I was so excited for you. You were so close. I almost said I don't even want to hit now. I didn't even want to hit. But no, it was a blast. It was so much fun. We walked around. They had Penn State game on TVs around the stadium, and I had Notre Dame pulled up on my phone. So super, super exciting, enjoyable night. Looking forward to hopefully getting to do it again next year and having a good time and hopefully getting my revenge in a win. So, all right. Well, we've got a full slate tonight. We aren't boycotting the Sixers because, quite frankly, you simply cannot.
They're making it impossible to.
Like when you think it's just going to be boring and nothing's going to happen, they make a terrible season true Hollywood drama. So we're gonna talk about them for a few minutes. We are gonna jump into the Phils. There's some rumors starting to heat up on the winter stove here as we approach the winter meetings in about 2 weeks, believe it or not. We're already there. That's insane. And of course we got to talk about last week's Eagles game and look forward to a big Eagles game on Sunday night. So let's jump in, man. Let's do this with the Sixers. I think I want to go with what is the biggest issue right now. Let's start there because there's a few things you could talk about. You could talk about what feels like just a totally broken locker room with a head coach who seems to not have any answers, a star player who is being called out by another star player, although it sounds like it was maybe blown out of proportion a little bit, but still was called out. Is it the injury stuff? They tried Maxey last night and all of a sudden he plays 5 minutes and that's it. And now you're looking at least a month without Paul George with the knee. Joel played a full game and dropped 30, so that at least was a decent sign. Is it that they're just these role players are just old and slow? Like Regz, they're 2-12 and dead last in basketball. I still believe they're 3 games out of a playoff spot.
Yeah.
So I still don't think the team is ready to say tank for Cooper Flag. But I'm not even going to go with the RU question because I don't think that's the conversation that we need to have tonight. I think the conversation we need to have is what is the biggest issue or rank those issues? Because I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah. I think if you want to just rank, if you're talking about the pure on-court performance, it's the injuries. It's really hard to play well when your three best players aren't playing at their full capacity. Full stop. If the Lakers didn't have LeBron and AD and pick whoever the third guy is, if the Bucks don't have Giannis and Dame and pick a third guy, there just aren't many teams that would be doing well. But as I've discussed on this podcast many times, the overall we're seeing this process culture come to a head. This is what we're seeing. We're seeing, and I'm not going to say for everybody, but I think specifically for Embiid, like Maxey, I think is really trying to change the culture there. And we don't really know what is going on with Joel. He plays the Olympics. He says he's not hurt. But all this ramp up and all this stuff is due to his knee just not being right. So yes, maybe it's not an acute injury where something happened to it. This is just the culmination of his size and weight and the previous injuries and all those things. And let's be honest, we've talked about this before. Joel Embiid's been allowed to do whatever he wanted on this team since the day he got here. And he's proven that he's not the type of person who would fight against that. He's very happy to take that privilege and just do whatever he wants. He's not a guy who would fight against it and say, no, that's not like what winning is about. I shouldn't be held to a different standard. I should be held to a higher standard, frankly. It's very cliche, and I don't mean to like turn this podcast into another rant about it. You can go back and listen to several other episodes where I go on good minute or 2 minute long rants about what the culture of this team is with Joel Embiid. I just think it's very clear that this is tough. It's tough for me to say. Joel Embiid is not going to win you a championship. He's not going to be the best player on a championship team. He doesn't have it in him. Like, that stuff has to be in your soul. It really does. I am not speaking to the talent of him as a basketball player. Joel Embiid might be one of the most talented human beings to ever touch a basketball, quite frankly. With his skill set, at his size, you can't make an argument that he's not one of the most talented players to ever enter the NBA. And if you make that argument, you're just wrong. You're just flat out wrong. He's not a winner. And that's what it comes down to. And I know people might have differing opinions. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that injuries haven't played a part into the actual winning on the basketball court. I understand that point, and it's a perfectly valid point with him. Many of them have been like weird freak injuries that aren't his fault. So I'm certainly not bashing him for that. He's not a winner in his soul. And that's just the bottom line. You're not going to have a championship team if he's your best player. And I think we all have tried to justify it and fight through it and get to a point where we can say, this is it, right? This is it. They had the offseason. They brought in all these guys, all these things. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And again, maybe some of the Maxey and Embiid stuff was overblown. I'm sure it was. I don't doubt Tyrese said something. And I don't doubt that it had to do with him being late to things. Again, you can get into the semantics of, well, what were the emotions, right? What was the tone, all those things. I'm 1,000% sure Tyrese said something to him about his being late to team things. That's just it's not how you have a winning culture or a winning basketball team. A championship winning basketball team, let me specify. It's just not. And I know I've been here for a while, that this is just the culture that I believe he's fostered, and that he's also been allowed to foster by others. And to be quite honest, I'm kind of this extension that we just gave him is going to be tough. His leg just might be cooked. It just might be, which again is not completely his fault, right? Injuries happen. And at his size and weight, injuries are almost amplified, especially lower body injuries. Yeah. So I just think that's where we're at. And at some point, hopefully, the front office and the team just kind of turns over into Maxey's team, even if they're not, making the finals or other things like that. I think Tyrese Maxey is the exact kind of guy you want changing the culture of your basketball team. So I think that's just where we're at, buddy.
Yeah, I think over the course of time, I have very much disagreed with that sentiment that he's not a winning player and you can't win a championship with him. And I don't know that I'm there anymore. I don't know that I'm all the way on the other side. But I think if there was ever a time for Joel truthers to question him, it's now. Clearly, he was called out in a team meeting. But like, his response to it was, I think, what bothered me more than anything. Just like the person who leaked this is a piece of shit, and it's fine. I take the blame for everything. I own all of it. But very passive aggressively, sarcastically, just not. He doesn't really feel that way, right? I'm struggling, Regz, with we often don't need the Sixers this time of year. Like I remember last year or 2 years ago, we joked hardcore about how we didn't really start talking about the Sixers till the end of January or middle of February because of the Super Bowl. They basically needed to get us through 2 weeks before the Phillies started playing spring training games. So unfortunately, I mean, the only thing we might be following is whether or not they are in fact tanking for Cooper Flagg come the end of the season. I also don't disagree that the problems lie in the injuries, but that's what happens when you invest in a 34-year-old who's had an injury history, despite how good he is, and a 7'2", 200 or almost 300 pound big man who has had injuries his entire career. I'm not sure, because they are just such a poorly run franchise. It's so funny to me. It will forever baffle me that it doesn't baffle me. It's just mind-blowing to me that the Commanders organization was so bad before that they're thankful for Josh Harris.
Well, yeah, right. I mean, yeah.
Because I looked at it.
It was Dan Snyder, so it was the bottom of the barrel.
100% agree. But I look at Josh Harris and I'm like, what a jabron.
Yeah, right.
The culture is the culture is the culture. And I think it's time I eat my shoe on this, Regz. they're not going to win with him. And I don't entirely blame Joel Embiid. I don't entirely blame the person. I still believe that Joel wants to win. I believe that Joel played through a lot to try and win. I just believe this organization failed a lot over the course of his career. Like I will forever go back to Jimmy Butler versus Ben Simmons versus Toby Harris, and they made the wrong call. And here we are. Also, is Tobias Harris the Sixers Whit Merrifield?
Possibly, yes. It's a great comp.
That's the way it's feeling right now. It's the way it's feeling right now.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily have a ranking, Regs. I think, and this can be a simple yes or no. I know you wanted to say something else, so feel free to add on to your yes or no. No, let's not do a yes or no. Let's put a percentage on this. Your percentage feeling that this team can turn it around and find a way to be competitive this year and leak into the playoffs.
Yeah, I guess
after this 4-2-12 start.
I guess it would be, what's your definition of, what's the definition of success here? Is it just make the playoffs? Because if it's just, or if we're going off maybe the team, like, get to the second round, which this team has not done. So let's say that. Because it seems to be a lot of.
No, they've gotten to the second round. They haven't gotten past the second round.
Let's say past the second round. Seems to be the universal acknowledgement of success.
Start the year.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
To make it past the second round, I'd be at 10%. The East is bad enough, and they are good enough. They will make the playoffs, even with this terrible start. But no, they will not make it past the second round.
Man, generous. I have it. I have it like 3%.
Yeah, look, I think I just wanted a kind of a round number, but I don't think you're wrong. I have
no faith in them getting there.
I know I make a stupid comparison. I do it all the time. My favorite non-Sixers basketball player of all time is Tim Duncan. And I compare a lot of basketball players to him because in my mind, he is the definition of winning and building a culture the right way, and a leader who was softly spoken, was coachable, was the first. You hear people talk all the time. The first guy that people looked at was Tim Duncan, because when Pop would get on somebody, he would get on Tim, and Tim would stand there like a man and be coachable. And never once, back in the locker room, why is that guy talking to me? I'm the best. I've been the best power forward in this league for, 5 years. I was a number 1 draft pick, all that stuff. Why is that guy talking to me like that? Zero of that happened. And I just believe it has to be in your soul, man. It has to be in your soul that you're willing to do anything to raise the people around you to achieve this goal that is impossible for people like us to think about. We think we know how hard it is. We have no idea. The time and the effort that those human beings put into trying to be the best at what they do is something that we can't fathom. But it has to be in your soul. Like, it has to be. And it's just not. And again, I think you're right. I think I don't know, like, if Joel Embiid goes to the Spurs, is his entire career different? We have no idea.
No idea.
But I think it absolutely played into him turning out to who he was. When he stepped in the door, everyone's like, this is like the savior on high.
Yeah.
You're allowed to do anything you want, Joel. Anything. Like, the keys are yours, man. I think it absolutely plays into how this has turned out.
Yeah, I unfortunately I think we're in a spot now where it could very well. I don't know how they get out from the Joel thing. The NBA salary cap is odd to me, but you almost wonder, like, is it time? You know, if they do continue to falter and do have a chance to go get Cooper Flag, is it, you know, a scenario where, you know, they keep Paul George because why not have the veteran around and try and build around that young group of Maxey, McCain, and Flag. I know we're a ways off from that. I know that the organization's trying to lose. I think they still want to win, but you know, at some point the conversation's got to be had. You're 14 games into the year, and they don't. It's not like they're losing by unfortunate events. They're getting beat every night, out hustled. That Memphis team.
Yeah,
I was fortunately able to watch it. Like, none of them played. And they still beat the Sixers by double digits. Well, it wasn't, but it was most of the second half, double digits.
yeah.
So at some point, you got to take a hard look in the mirror and decide that maybe the process was always meant to be Cooper Flag.
Maybe.
It'll bring you so much joy to be able to talk about so many Duke players.
It's not
every week.
Yeah, it's not great for me. I've loved how good McCain has been.
Yeah, he's so good.
Just to watch someone with joy. You know what I mean?
The only bright spot. The only bright
joy
spot.
And effort and just a genuine want to, like, be the best possible version of himself, and then just the confidence he's gaining.
Mm-hmm.
I think is huge, because I'm not sure if Joel Embiid plays on this team much longer.
To be fair, we always get that with Maxey. Unfortunately, his injury has kept that.
Oh, yeah. I'm not. You're exactly right. I think that's why those two mesh so well, or why they will.
Yeah.
Because you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Just need to be said. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, let's go to a team who we appreciate, even though we're mad at them still. We appreciate the ownership, the drive, the clear vision of where they're going. You're looking at me like you don't know who it is.
Oh, but I know who it is. Yeah, I knew who it was.
Yeah. So let's talk about two rumors that dropped today. Well, there's a few rumors that are going around. Obviously, the Alec Bohm thing is out there. It sounds like the Phillies are willing to deal a few young players. I don't think it's a secret. Like, Alec Bohm is out. They're not calling teams and saying, hey, we want to trade Alec. It sounds like they're open to guys like him and Marsh, Ranger. I'd seen and other young players. My assumption is the other young player is like Johan. I don't believe that Bryson Stott is available. I think he's the only one that's not available, to be honest with you. So that's been floating. Then Buster Olney was on The Fanatic today and said that he believes the Phillies will add a star. He doesn't know who it'll be. He didn't put them in the higher, like, category of Juan Soto suitors. Mm-hmm. He said they're part of it and they're going to be finalists, but doesn't see them as the ending destination. Then John Heyman was on WIP and said that there are 5.5 finalists and the Phillies are the half. I don't know what the hell that means, Regz. Like, in my head, that doesn't make any sense. I don't know what that, like, how are you the half finalist?
I don't know.
Like, I don't even think I have a like an interpretation of that. Like, it feels like he is almost covering his bases to say, They might not be in, they might be in, and now I can say that I was like, I can say I was accurate no matter what happened. Because how is a team half in?
I don't know.
He also mentioned that they have talked about having a meeting but haven't scheduled it.
Yeah. I don't truly understand. I didn't understand why the Phillies started talking like it was an inevitability that it wasn't happening.
Right.
I don't really know why they're continuing to be like being talked about as the team kind of on the outside of this inner circle. Like everyone knows Cohen is just going to offer the most money. That is what it is. I just think at some point, like, Kevin Long is here, Trey Turner is here, Bryce Harper is here. Like, he knows this team and the guys on it. And, like, he's seen what this ownership, like, we beat his San Diego team on that run. And, like, he's seen what this place can turn into in the playoffs. He's seen what this ownership is willing to do in terms of payroll and winning. I'm just not sure I'm not sure why we're acting like it's inevitable that we're like not in it. And I'm not sure why he would be giving off that impression. Or why Boris might be giving off that impression. Just none of it has none of it has meshed for me. None of what's been going on has meshed, and we haven't heard the reason that makes this all make sense. Like, okay, yeah, the Dodgers are in it because they're the Dodgers. The Mets are in it because we know Cohen's just going to write the biggest check because he can. He's richer than like half the owners put together in baseball. But at some point, like Juan Soto has to be a little bit swayed by where he's going and who he's playing for and what the team is around him and all those things. And I just feel like when you talk about it in that sense, like, why not Philadelphia? Why not?
Regz, this has been my stance the entire time. Until you tell me that he signed somewhere else, the Phillies are absolutely in this game. I feel like we have this conversation almost every week, just in a different way. It's so funny. But when I think about like played in New York, so he's comfortable in New York. He's played 1 year there. Got it. Understand. He played like 2 years on the West Coast. Got it. Understand. The kid played in Washington for like 6 seasons or whatever it was. 4 seasons. Played like 20 games a year against the Phillies. Half of those at Citizens Bank Park. So basically, like, he's played in Philly. It's not like he doesn't know the city. He's not familiar with Citizens Bank Park. It sounds as though he wants to better understand the organizations that he's interested or that are interested in him, their farm depth. And I've said it on this show before that I put the Phillies up against anyone when it comes to that, just in what's coming in the immediate future. The team that concerns me most in that regard is the Red Sox.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that that's the place for him. I really don't. I don't know if it's the place he's going to choose. And so when it comes down to it, yeah, we know that the Mets will offer another 30 to 50 million on whatever the highest bid is. But like if the Phillies are within 50, then why wouldn't he consider going to a place where he knows all these people and can win now and later? I think the moral of this, I know I've repeated some of my points from prior shows, but my point is that none of these guys really know what's going on.
Yeah.
None of these guys who are reporting know what's going on. One that does, his name is Jeff Passan. If you noticed, he doesn't report anything until there's something to report.
Mm-hmm.
He's not out there. He said that he's had meetings. Like, that has been something he has stood by. But that's no secret.
Yeah.
It's no secret. The Phillies having a meeting means they believe that there's reason to have a meeting. They're not just gonna meet with him for no reason. And I like the league and these talking heads act like the Phillies aren't willing to throw money around. Again, a point I've made in prior episodes of Phixated and in text messages to people. They were the highest bidding team for Yamamoto. More money on the table than anybody else. And that was not a position of need.
Yeah.
At that point, they had brought Nola back.
Right.
So if they're willing to throw that money at him, why wouldn't they throw $600 million at Juan Soto? It fixes that need in left field almost immediately. And I know people, one thing we haven't really talked about is where is going to come from down the line. And I think what's important to highlight is Kyle Schwarber's gone next year. That's $20 million off the books. JT Realmuto gone next year. It's $23 million off the books just between those two. Jose Alvarado gone. It's another, I believe, 8, 9, 10, somewhere in there. Gone. You're replacing certain guys on the roster. You're not paying Bryson Stott. Aiden Miller's going to be here. Justin Crawford's going to be here. Andrew Painter's going to be here. In another year, Nick Castellanos is $20 million. After 2026, you're only paying 4 guys. Harper, Turner, Wheeler, Nola.
Yeah.
And now Chris Sale's got a bump because he finished where he finished. But Regz, they're in. I'm not saying they're gonna win this horse race here.
Yeah.
But I also don't believe that they are the pace horse or whatever Middleton called them. The fact that they're as out there saying that they're not in makes me fully believe they're in.
Yeah. It's been a weird campaign of this, and I just, like I said, nothing has come out yet to make it make sense.
Right. Yeah, no one's had a really valid reason as to why they're out.
Mm-hmm. Or why they can't be taken seriously.
Yeah.
Like, why are we taken less seriously than
reason.
the Red Sox? Like, what have the Red Sox done to show that they want to win? Let freaking Mookie Betts go. They didn't want to pay Mookie Betts.
Yeah, I'm not. No, well, that's what I've seen written is they want to atone that and make it right.
Cool, but what have you done? Like, what is your track record of this?
I think what people are saying is he has spent X amount of money on guys pretty much every year. Notice, and it makes me laugh that no one looks back to last year to say, oh, they went all in free agency. They extended Zach Wheeler, re-signed Aaron Nola, and brought Whit Merrifield in. That was the offseason. They didn't spend any money. They just got new investors of $500 million. They sell out every single day. They're making plenty of money. I believe that that's what the talking heads are thinking. I also believe that they don't get information from the Phillies the way they do other organizations.
Yeah.
So people just report what they think, but there hasn't been factual evidence that the Phillies aren't interested in him and why they wouldn't be interested in him.
Right.
I know that we have the Middleton quote, but Middleton saying it actually makes me believe it less. It just makes me believe it less. I think they're almost playing the Boris game against him a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you can't use us as a pawn because we're actually in, and we don't want you driving up the price on us.
Right.
By using us. So I think they're almost playing him a little bit in his own game.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion, which leads me to our third edition of the ideal Philly offseason, which leads off with them signing Juan Soto.
Beautiful.
I'm not going away from Juan Soto. I'm not. Okay, so let's do the sort of bullpen movie type things here. I'm going back to Clay Holmes again. Okay. I really like Clay Holmes as a seventh inning guy. I believe in him in that middle relief role. He's shown he can do it in the postseason. So I'm gonna bang that drum all off season. Going back to Devin Williams again, but this time not using Ranger because we're using him in a different deal. Not using Bomer because we're using him in a different deal. Gabriel Cones, outfielder, and Mick Abel for Devin Williams. I know they just added Mick Abel to the 40-man. That doesn't mean they're not willing to move him. That's just, if they can't move him, he's protected.
Right.
Notice that Gary not protected, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
No one will take him, but not on the 40. So that gives you your two right-handed arms in the bullpen again. I'm going to give you a third one to add, but not until the middle of the season, because for the first half of the season, he will be starting games. It's going to be a 1-year, $10 million deal for Max Scherzer. He's going to start in that 5 spot behind a very loaded rotation until Andy Painter comes. And then he's going to move into the bullpen for the stretch. I like, and I've said this to you, I don't know if I've said it on the air. I've said it to you off the air a few times. I like that he has an existing relationship with Dave Dombrowski. I like that he's already made his money. He's probably looking for a chance now.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the mentality and the attitude to pitch out of the bullpen. They won't need him to be like a big dog down there.
Right.
They might use him in that way at times. But if you have Devin Williams down there, Clay Holmes has closing experience. We know Kirk's coming into his own. But you can bring him in to get some big outs for you. Or he can piggyback Painter starts.
Yeah.
When the time comes. So, Max Scherzer. All right. So far, we've got Juan Soto. We've got Max Scherzer. We're just reuniting the Nationals. Clay Holmes and Devin Williams. Okay. So, not a whole. The newest one there is Scherzer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do the trade, the big trade next. And then I have another one that I'm going to add.
All right.
So, I got a little more creative with the Bohm situation. Because the more I think about it, I said this to you when we were waiting in the parking lot to go into Upper Deck. I don't know that Bohm on his own is going to be able to get the crochet thing done. And obviously, I don't want to send a ton of prospects out of here. I want to keep as many as we can. So why not involve a third team, Regz?
Why not?
So Garrett Crochet comes from Chicago to Philadelphia. Alec Bohm. Actually, let me start here. Also leaving Philadelphia, going to Chicago, Starlin Cava.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I had to do it. But Bohm isn't going to Chicago with him. Bohm is going to Seattle. Seattle will send 3 prospects, 2 of their top 10, 2 of actually their top 7, and then 1 lower tier prospect. And the Phillies might have to send a lower tier prospect too. I didn't add those guys. But Johnny Farmello, who's their number 4 overall prospect. So they get the Phillies number 4. They get the Mariners number 4. He's an outfielder.
Okay.
And then they get Michael Arroyo, a second baseman who's the number 7 prospect. So they're getting the equivalent of 3 basically top 5 prospects. Okay. And then 2 lower tier, like probably 15 below, player to be named later type prospects. The White Sox, they get 5 guys. They're also sending Luis Robert to Seattle in this deal. So the White Sox get 5 prospects, including our own Starlin Cabo. They get 3 Mariners prospects, 2 Phillies prospects. And I think that second Phillies prospect probably fits somewhere in like the De La Cruz category. Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what it looks like for the Mariners. I don't know their system well enough, but someone in that sort of mind. The Phillies get Garrett Crochet. He's the most valued of all of the players being moved. And the Mariners get Bohm and Luis Robert. So the White Sox sort of replenish. They have young talent being sent over. You could probably send Johan Rojas instead of like De La Cruz because he can start for them immediately, replace Robert.
Yeah.
So that's a possibility. The Mariners get offense, which they desperately need.
Yeah.
And the Phillies add a fifth starting pitcher to the mix, which makes their rotation Wheeler, Crochet, Nola, Sanchez, Scherzer in this model of offseason.
That it seems like a trade that doesn't happen in baseball a lot, but I'm all in for it.
Yeah, I'm curious because I keep hearing we have to be creative.
Listen, I love it.
If you want to keep your prospects.
Yeah, I mean that's my favorite part about it.
I love Starlin Caba, but it's all you got to give up. Now you trade Alec Bohm, you need a third baseman. In our first offseason, it was Ho-Sung Kim. And our second, it was Alex Bregman. Neither of them are coming to Philadelphia this year.
All right.
Ranger Suarez is going to Cincinnati. And in return, Jonathan India comes back to the Phillies. Regz. His chase rate percentile, 98th percentile. Whiff, 81st percentile. That'll work. That'll work. The lineup probably looks something to the effect of I would assume I would lead off Soto. That's a me thing. Soto, Turner, Harper, Casty, Schwarber, and then you can sort of mix and match down at the bottom. I would probably hit JT. JT 6th, India 6th, something like that.
Is India a switch hitter?
And then I thought he was just righty, but I could be wrong.
He might be. I was just trying to remember.
Could be wrong. I'm not sure. The other thing that I find interesting, listening to the High Hopes podcast, Preston Mattingly said that they want Crawford to show up ready to compete for a job. So I don't know what that means, but I think it means something pretty big. Would you agree?
You're right. That's righty. I do agree. I think I just don't know why you would give Rojas the kind of length of string you gave him and then be opposed to a guy like Crawford, even if he's coming up a little early. Like, why give Johan Rojas this huge leash and then not give Justin Crawford a chance? You know what I mean? Like, what? Why? Why not?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't know. The pedigree is very different. You know, and it speaks to your point. Rojas didn't come with the pedigree that Crawford's coming with.
But Crawford comes
Rojas
with all
was always a light hitting center fielder.
But they come
That's
with
what I mean.
all
That's
the
what I mean.
traits, right? Exactly.
Yeah, Crawford comes with everything. I mean, there's not a ton of power, but that's fine. We don't need that. We need guys who don't swing at trash, guys who work counts, who have an approach, gap to gap, speed. He's still a plus defender out there too. So I do believe you're going to get every chance to win, and I also believe that part of that is because Marsh and Rojas are available. So they are going to lean into him a little bit more. And here's the other thing: if that is your approach, then you are 100% in on Juan Soto. Because you can afford a rookie hitting ninth in a lineup that has Juan Soto. Someone asked me when I talked about India, you know, does India really replace Bohm? And my response is this: the guy standing at third base doesn't have to be the guy that replaces Bohm's production.
Yeah.
You need to replace his production somewhere. But if that comes in left field, that comes in left field. And if that's Juan Soto, he doesn't just replace Bohm's production. He torches Bohm's production. And then you can get a little bit less in center. Well, Crawford, I don't know. I don't see Crawford as being worse in center field.
No, offensive. Yeah, I agree.
And then at third base, all the third baseman has to do then is be better than what was happening left field and center field.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you right now, Jonathan India is automatic. Ha-Seong Kim is automatic.
Yeah.
My brother mentioned again to me tonight, Gio Urshela. He probably wouldn't be better than that.
Yeah.
So I hesitate a little bit there, but they can make it work. But I do think we're going to be very busy. I do believe the Phillies are geared up for a very busy couple of months, buddy.
I can't wait. I just want things to start happening. I just want to know.
I got to be honest. I don't think I have any more off-season stuff in me.
Yeah.
Here's what I know, and I think there have been trends in all. Before we jump to the Eagles, here are my trends from all of the ones that I've done. They're adding a left fielder, whether it's Juan Soto or a Profar type. They're adding a left field, and I don't mean getting Profar, especially now that is the qualifying all. I do believe that Alec Bohm and Ranger Suarez are getting traded. For whom, I'm not sure. I believe that they're going to acquire a reliever via trade, and I believe that they're either going to acquire a starter and or third baseman via trade. Your dream of Nolan Arenado is not. I almost did that today. Like, I almost came in here with Arenado.
I don't want him now.
But I also I wonder what it would be like, change of scenery. I don't know. I don't know. And like, again, I go back to, depending who your left fielder is. Arenado, to me, I don't think I've looked at his numbers closely enough, but like, would he get close to replacing what Bohm provided offensively?
He's
We know
been,
defensively.
He's been cratering the past 3 years.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up his baseball savant. But
listen, I love Nolan
some
Arenado.
trends.
I
know
love
you
him,
do.
but
I know you do. I mean, his power has cratered. Interestingly, he chases a lot.
Yeah.
He doesn't swing and miss a lot, though.
You just need a guy like Ha-Sung Kim, I think would be so great. He would be so great. That guy's so annoying to get out.
I just want to see what his barrel. I mean, this was the worst of his barrel percentage.
Yeah, it was tough this year
in his career. I mean, like a 3% barrel rate. Wow. His previous career low was a year. It looks like he was hurt. Was 5.4. Mm-hmm. Oh no, it was COVID.
Yeah,
that's why. It was the COVID year. But typically, he's up around 8-9. Exit velocity was actually a career high this year. Very interesting numbers for him. Hard hit percentage was the lowest of his career. Huh. Walk percentage was second lowest of his career. And 2 full points below his career average.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe not, Regz. Sorry, buddy.
It's okay. I get it. It's all right. I just think this lineup needs to become more annoying.
Yeah.
I think it needs more.
And Soto does that.
Yes, he does
immediately.
Yes, but I mean for like the rest of them. You know what I mean? Like the rest of them. The rest of them have to become more annoying. The guys that we trade for or whatever have to be guys that pitchers look at and just like, this guy just never, every at bat with this guy. We need more guys who tick off pitchers. Our guys go up there now and pitchers are like, I know what to do to you. We need more guys who pitchers go up there like, I've tried everything. And yes, maybe I've gotten him out, but it's been like I've had to pitch 30 pitches to this guy in 3 at bats. And yes, maybe he's grounded out twice, you know, but still, they just go into it like, oh my God, I got to do this again. We just need more guys like that.
Yeah. And you don't need a full lineup, right? That's not always necessary.
Exactly.
You need to have like 4 guys that are spread out throughout the lineup that are just a complete pain in the ass. The Phillies have Kyle Schwarber, who's sort of that way. He'll swing and miss, but he's not a big chase guy.
Mm-hmm.
The next closest in terms of like chase rate that exists on their roster was Brandon Marsh. That isn't great.
Yeah.
Because his whiff rate is super high.
Right.
He doesn't chase, but he swings and misses in the zone a lot. And we've talked about how often he was in 3-2 counts this year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Bryce Harper can be that guy. Bryson Stott can be that guy. But they need other guys around them too.
Yeah.
So, and I really believe that Justin Crawford is that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, if you're trying to fix this roster and this approach, I don't know that there's a more annoying hitter in baseball than Juan Soto.
Yeah.
Like I truly just don't think there's a more annoying hitter in all of baseball than Juan Soto. He truly does not swing at balls. He doesn't. So if you're trying to bring on that sort of approach, just go get him.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the dumbest thing today, and then we'll turn to the Eagles. Someone commented like they won't do it because it hurts Bryce's ability to be the face of the franchise.
That's BS.
And one of the dumbest things I've ever seen from Baltimore. I'll start with one that's not Phillies related. It didn't impact Aaron Judge at all.
Yeah, right.
Secondly, if Bryce Harper had the choice to have Juan Soto and the better chance at a World Series for the next 5 years, or be the face of the franchise,
yeah, right.
pretty sure I know what he would choose.
Yep.
So, well, we will keep riding this train. They're doing all the meetings now. My guess is that offers will start coming not this week, but the first week of December.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of the reporting said that these meetings were not like he did not want offers in these meetings,
which is why we saw that one like Carlos Baerga.
Yeah, right.
That the Mets had offered him $660 million. I was like, that's funny.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't want offers right now. But I think that first week of December, because I could see him wanting to make the decision winter meetings ish.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which would be good for baseball. Let's get this crap moving. We're all waiting on.
Well, that's right. I think he's the domino that has to fall for everything else to start moving.
We're waiting. We're all waiting. All right. No longer have to wait for the Eagles, though, bud.
No longer.
The 8-2 Eagles. Regz, let me start here. Are they a true contender in the NFC? Like, can they truly play for a Super Bowl? This was their biggest test, arguably. This Washington game.
Yeah. I might argue that it might be the Ravens coming up, but I think this was their biggest one to date.
I should have specified.
Yes,
to date.
Exactly right. Can this team compete to get to the Super Bowl? Yes, because the best version of this team can win a Super Bowl. Do I think they're better than the Lions right now? No, I do not. Do I think they're better than in the AFC, right? Ravens, Chiefs, Bills. I think at their best, they can compete with those teams. I think right now in the NFC, I think they're the clear number 2 behind the Lions. I still think there's a little gap between the Eagles and the Lions. I think the Lions are just playing out of their minds right now.
Yeah.
And you have to give them some credit with just how efficient they're being on offense. I know that like Goff threw 5 picks the other day. I get it. But on most weeks, they're the scariest offense that has ever touched a football field. And they just never stop. Like they don't have many off days.
I agree that they are the best team in the NFC right now. I think I agree that the Eagles are a clear second. After that, you can mix and match. I think the Niners are probably missing. I don't think the Falcons are all that good.
I mean, you could say the Vikings. The Vikings have a great defense.
They're fine. Yeah, I'd welcome them to Philly.
Yeah,
in the postseason for sure. And look, the Lions have some pretty tough games on their schedule. Regz, they only play 3 games outside of a dome.
Yeah. We went over this
all year.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, right?
And so, to me, I think if you have to go play them in Detroit, it's going to be very difficult to win a game in Detroit. But if they have to come here, if they have to come to Philly in January, end of January, I just don't know
Yeah.
that I get really concerned with having to beat them in Philadelphia. I do believe that they're fast on that turf, and Jared Goff is very comfortable in that dome. But it's a different animal coming to Philly in January. Now, they are built to win that kind of a game because they have a really good run game and a really good offensive line. At the same time, their defense took a huge hit with Hutchinson.
Yeah.
And their secondary is not good. It's not good. When you look at the two teams, in my eyes, the general weakness of the Lions is the secondary. Ironically, at the moment, the general weakness of the Eagles is the passing game.
Yes.
One thing I believe is I don't know how much better the Lions secondary is going to get, because I don't know that the talent's necessarily there. Terrion Arnold's fine, but we've seen that there's a major difference between him and Quinyon Mitchell. The piece to me now, Brian Branch is fantastic, by the way. The safety is fantastic. Wanted to draft him, but totally different story. I do believe the Eagles passing off can improve.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, and then I want to talk about the Washington game. What do you believe is more likely to happen? And not obviously, there's one we prefer, but it feels like the passing offense just hasn't found its footing. I'm not sure reasons for that. I don't quite know. Sometimes it looks really good, sometimes it looks terrible. So is it more likely that it finds itself, or is it more likely that the defense sort of comes back down to earth by the time the playoffs roll around? Or is this who the defense is? What is the likelier of the two? The passing offense finds itself, or the defense comes back?
Yeah, I think it's, outside of any injuries to the defense, obviously. I think it's the passing game, like, coming up to the level of the rest of the team. I think this defense is legit, man. And there's a very clear historical trend for Vic Fangio's defenses getting better and better and better. So I think outside of an injury, look, could they have an off game? Yes. It's the NFL. Any weird stuff happens all the time. But in general, I believe that this defense is going to keep playing very well.
I'd agree. I also think there's just far too much talent in the passing game.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and I do think like watching the other night and recapping that film, it was almost like they were going back to like what wasn't working.
Yeah.
Like a lot of dumb routes.
Yeah.
Like a lot of really dumb routes where Jalen just didn't have an option. And had to make a play with his legs. So I don't know if it's like one of these things where they're keeping some stuff like they did in the run game. Maybe they didn't feel like they needed to unleash things on Washington, and the game plan was let our guys win.
Yeah.
Washington, credit them, did a good job of not letting them win. They played two safety high most of the game, and trusted their front. Now, their front got worn out by the end, and Saquon was Saquon.
Mm-hmm.
But teams are going to start loading that box.
Yeah.
If they believe that they can, stop you in the pass game. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know much about the Rams defense. I think their defensive line's very good.
Yeah, I'm not sure the rest of it is that great.
Right. So I'll be curious to see how they deal with the rushing attack of the Eagles and the offensive line. But
I mean, at this point, you have to think they're in improvement mode. At this point, you'd have to think defenses are going to tell the Eagles, like, prove that you can pass. We're going to stack the box. We're going to take away the run as much as possible. And we're going to make
Which is
you
so funny.
You're going to make we're going to make you have to beat us through the air.
So funny because you look at what they have weapon wise and it's like, man, that is truly the definition of picking your poison.
It just doesn't seem like they haven't reached the point the defense has. The defense has had their aha moment, and now they're all on the same page and running downhill. It just doesn't seem that way in the passing game. That they've reached that moment where everyone's on the same page and all moving in the same direction. And again, it's very difficult to pinpoint the reason for that. It is sometimes Jalen turning down throws. It is sometimes the route concepts aren't inventive or made to get guys open through the scheme, not through their talent. They have the talent to get open, but Duffy talks about this all the time. Like, we don't see a bunch of things that just get guys like that make it easy. And I'm not sure why. I'm not sure. We just don't know what they're waiting for. We don't know what will be the shoe to drop, so to say. We don't know what that's going to be. We're all just waiting for it. It's happened with the defense, and this is what we're seeing. It has not happened with the passing game, and we might never understand what the true root cause is, but they got to get there because it has to be better for them to be a true contender. It just has to be.
Yes and no. I mean, to this point, they're 8-2, and it's been super inconsistent.
Yeah, I think to win a Super Bowl, it has to be better.
To be a Super Bowl champion,
yes,
because you're not going to be able to run the ball in a shootout against Mahomes.
Right.
I do think you could probably do it against golf. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Especially if you get that game in Philly. But yes, to beat Allen or Mahomes for sure. Let's talk about Washington real quickly.
Mm-hmm.
They should have won that game by 3 scores.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen talked about it in his post game. We're not converting in the red zone. We're not finishing. Because now those first drives, they're moving the football.
Yeah.
Like the first drive of the game, they moved the ball right down the field. And Jake missed a field goal. I believe it wasn't the second possession. It might have been the third. The same thing happened. Moved it down the field. Missed the field goal. Jake alone left 7 on the board. And then they had to settle for field goals inside the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
Twice. Now, in that type of a game, I was not upset with Nick Sirianni for kicking the field goals. I was glad he did it. I thought his management of the game was actually very good. Late, Jalen made some plays, made some throws. Obviously, the Saquon runs were just enormous.
Mm-hmm.
Reed Blankenship continues to be Reed Blankenship. Makes the big play when they need it. Every interception that dude has is a carbon copy of one another.
Yeah.
They totally eliminated Terry McLaurin. Totally eliminated him.
Yeah.
They had to move him across the field away from Quinion for his one completion.
Mm-hmm.
And like, let's be fair to Coop. He was in really good coverage on that play. He was. Pass rush looked good. BG got to him. Sweaty got to him. Nolan got to him. You're right. The defense looks really good. They're really communicating well. This will be a fun week.
Yeah.
Like Sunday night is going to be fun. Puka, Cooper,
Mm-hmm.
Stafford to me still is one of the best arms in football.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be a lot of Eagle fans there. But I And that fourth down play, I'm jumping around a little bit in the Washington game because it feels so long ago.
Yeah, I know.
At this point,
I know.
The fourth down play that they caused the turnover on downs. What a job again by Zach Bond. I mean, I think Reed deserves some credit too because he sort of cut off a cutback. But man, Bond just his instinct to get outside and get to that football, cut down a really good running quarterback. He just continues to impress every single week.
Yeah.
I mean, Jalen Carter dominated this game for
every
large
snap.
portions. Sam Cosmi was very good. Yeah, that's conversation. And Jordan Davis held a lot of double teams. It doesn't show up. People don't see it. And it's not gonna be pretty or fancy. But when he's on the field in those second and shorts, third and shorts, teams give the double team to him.
Yeah.
Which leaves Jalen Carter there for his one-arm tackles.
Just go back and look at the second and third down before that fourth down play.
Yeah, he totally disrupts it.
Jalen Carter tackles Robbins, tackles him for a 1 yard loss by himself with one arm. The next play, Jordan Davis stands up two guys, literally stands them up so that the other guys can get to him. And then that fourth down play where you talk about Bond and Reed making a play.
Yeah. And coming off of that, obviously Dallas with a great catch, didn't protect the ball. But man, Grant Calcaterra has been so good.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And that play is a play where, again, I want to come back and tip my hat to Nick. Because after the game, all the players were talking about if you don't have the ball, you are to turn and run toward it.
Flip and find, they called it.
Flip and find. And what did he do? He flipped and he found it, and he was in position to cover the fumble.
Which was huge.
And that is a coaching point. Yeah, because they scored after that. That's a coaching point. And needs, it needs to be given, Nick needs to be given credit for that. If I'm going to crush him for things, I have to credit him. So the game to me, I think a lot of what we saw early on was that Thursday night rust. That just tends to happen in these Thursday night games. But as the game moved on, you could tell Jalen looked comfortable. The offense looked comfortable. And Washington didn't. And that was the difference.
Yeah.
Washington never looked comfortable. Jalen, just one thing that I've been thinking about with him, and then I want to ask you a question about Devontae and Jake, and then we'll get to our predictions. For me, with Jalen, guy gets killed, right? Misses the throw to Devontae early in the game. Everybody's mad he's holding on to the ball too long. Watching the film, just wasn't stuff there, right? When Jalen's bad, unless it's the Bucks who are his kryptonite. Jalen's bad for like a quarter.
Yeah.
And then he's good. Or maybe a half, and then he's good. It's very rare where Jalen plays like a full-on brutal game. And again, if it's the Bucks, then it's, But just something I've thought about with him. Devontae. Not seeing a lot of balls, on the injury report again with the hammy. 2 days he hasn't practiced. What's the concern level? A, on the injury. B, on they're simply not using him. Are the two related?
I'm concerned about the injury, honestly. There was a video that came out of him kind of limping back to the locker room at the end of the Washington game. Not practice. He took some days off last week even from practice. This week, obviously. I am concerned that there's something there.
Hammies, man.
I can't believe it. It's wild. So, yes, I am concerned there. I don't want him to make it worse. I also think that what we talked about with the offense, we've seen them scheme like Devontae open
plenty of like a couple times this year. And there are just, it seems like in the past few weeks, they've gotten away from whatever that was.
Yeah.
That have gotten him some easy looks. Look, Devontae Smith is an unbelievable wide receiver, but he's such a good route runner that you should be able to scheme something up to get this guy open.
Yeah.
And I think Fran Duffy kind of looked at this and he went back and he's like, look, I think it's a combination of these routes aren't allowing him to get open easily. And yes, there are some times that Jalen turns it down. I will never believe that this team is like trying to not get him the ball, or that there's something in the scheme that is trying to get AJ the ball more than him. I don't believe that for 1 second. I think it's been a weird couple weeks. And I think with the decline of the passing game that we've seen, AJ, just with his size and the routes he runs, tends to just get open a little more. And I think there's just, it's been circumstantial and it's just been some weird stuff. And look, I want them to keep scheming ways to get him open. Like, just make it easier on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And
So-
I just really do hope that he's okay injury wise.
So there, yeah, me too. There were 3 plays that I think of that were specifically schemed for him in this Washington. First came on the first drive. They ran that bubble screen early to Dotson.
Mm-hmm.
Got 8 out of it. They tried to run that same sort of formation motion and dump it to Devontae in the flat. Wasn't open, and Jalen had to throw it away.
Yeah.
So it was just good coverage. Second one that I can think of is the one Jalen missed straight up.
Yeah.
The crosser
Mm-hmm.
over the middle of the field. He catches that ball, and now I don't know what it looks like, but a healthy Devontae on that play might be housing it, honestly, because there were not many Commander jerseys out in front. The last one was a mesh play in the end zone. He and AJ ran into each other.
Yeah.
Would have been a touchdown.
Yep. Easy. Mm-hmm.
If they didn't, because Jalen wanted it.
Yeah.
But had to tuck it when they ran into each other. So had some play. And he also dropped one on the sideline.
Yes.
He was wide open. And it's not a ball he drops typically. Yeah. So yeah, I'm worried. I'm worried about the injury. My hope is that him not practicing this week the goal was to give him like the full week off.
Mm-hmm.
Like hopefully he practices tomorrow.
Yeah. Thursday to
Then
Thursday,
limited.
he's just off. Yeah.
Yeah. Thursday to Thursday, 7 days. And one last thing here, Jake Elliott, like concern level 1 to 10, 10 being like your. I'm at like a 4 right now.
I was gonna say 3.
Yeah.
I think the best thing I heard from the special teams coordinator was that all the misses were the same. So it's a tendency. It's not that he's all over the place.
Mm-mm.
It's a little mechanical thing that they know Jake will put the time in to watch the film and understand.
Yep.
They were confident that look, this is fixable. He was like, if he was missing every which way, I'd be more concerned.
That's mental at that point.
Yeah. That was, you pulled the first 2 and then it's in your head.
And none of them were short. So like, it's not like an injury thing.
Right.
They all had the leg.
Yes.
And then some.
Mm-hmm.
So, and honestly, Regz, like, let's be fair to him. He has not been used a lot.
Yeah.
Simply just hasn't been.
Yeah. I'm going to believe what the coaches are saying. It makes sense what they're saying about it. It doesn't seem like they're trying to sort of cover up something that might be a deeper reason why this is happening. No. Everyone seems to be very clear, very open about what they think about it.
Yeah.
Look, it was a night. He was pulling things. It happens.
Yeah.
And I think we all should be confident that Jake is looking into it and correcting it.
My joy comes from he gets to kick in a dome this weekend.
Yeah.
which I think is very helpful for him. So we'll see, but I'm with you. I don't have a lot of concern. All right, let's get to this Rams game again. They're a very good football team.
Yeah.
It's not a bad team they're going to see, especially offensive. You know, they boast two really good wide receivers. So it'll be a really fun test for the secondary. Matthew Stafford is one of the game's premier quarterbacks. Still has the arm.
Mm-hmm.
Has for a long time been one of football's best quarterbacks. Tutu Atwell's on the team still, so that slot is covered.
Yeah.
Kyron Williams is a really good running back out of Notre Dame.
Yeah, and Sean McVay is still very good at what he does.
Still a very good head coach. And Blake Corum is not a bad second running back.
Yeah.
So this offense has a lot of weapons. So we're going to see Vic Fangio's defense with its second straight test from an offensive perspective. I want to give the key for me is I've been leaning a lot more toward the offensive side, and I would love for them to get the passing game.
Yeah.
I would love that. But I think for me it's for the defense to continue its dominance. You know, there are still people out there that are questioning them, and you know, well, it was a Thursday night game. This, that, the other thing with the defense, and it's not Eagle fans doing that. Eagle fans seem pretty locked in, but some fans from other fan bases, stuff like that. There's no hiding corners in this game.
Yeah.
Because all their receivers are very good, and they'll move them all over the field.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to see the corners continue to do what they've been doing, and I want to see the pass rush make Stafford nervous. He'll make mistakes. He's not perfect. He's got a strong arm, but sometimes he thinks that arm is immune to mistakes. So I for me, the storyline is the defense showing up, because I do believe the offense is going to do enough. I think we'll see more from the passing game this week.
Yeah.
Your key?
It's the pressure from the defensive line. I think this is one of those games where I'm not sure there'll be a lot of coverage sacks. Stafford's too good, too quick, is not afraid to fire it in there in small windows. I think the pass rush is the Rams have a beat up offensive line, man.
Mm-hmm.
They've been dealing with injuries since the preseason.
Yep.
This defensive line has to make Stafford uncomfortable, so he puts those throws in harm's way. So maybe he tries to squeeze something in where he really shouldn't. I really think pressure is going to make a huge difference in this game, because if he sits back there, it's going to be tough to stop this team.
Yeah, I saw a stat, and I must not have saved it, but he does use more time than most. So I don't know. I can't find it though. Okay, but yeah, we both got defensive keys. All right. Eagles are 3-point road favorites. 48.5 is the total.
You're up first still, because this seems to be working.
We got to keep it going.
We got to keep it going.
You got to keep it going. Cannot stop now.
Nope.
Yeah, I got 30 to 20 birds.
Okay.
30 to 20 birds. I don't have I just think 30 to 20. I don't know if it's going to feel like a close 30 to 20, or I just think that they're going to win. It's just going to be one of those games.
Yeah, I have 27-21 Eagles.
Okay.
I think it'll be a little bit closer. I'm not sure if that's like the Eagles get to 27 first and then the Rams get to 21, and it's just kind of too late. The Eagles kind of run it out from there. I'm not sure if the Rams get to 21 first and we're at 20 and we go for a late touchdown.
Yeah.
I feel like the defense isn't going to be perfect. I think this is a team, and McVay is a good enough schemer that I think they'll give up some points. Which I think is okay. We went into this season saying if this defense can just be average, this offense should be good enough to carry them.
Now it's like
the defense has completely slammed past that threshold.
Yeah.
I still overall, like, if this is a top 10 defense, we're thrilled. We don't need them to be the first or second best defense in the league. Like, if that actually happens for the rest of the season, it's an eye-popping thing.
I think at that point we both believe they're winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't think they're immune. I think it's a tough test with these Rams and then the Ravens next week. They're going to give us some points. It's okay. The offense is better than the Rams defense. They should put up more points.
Yeah. And like you said, that offensive line is a sieve.
It really, it's not very good for the Rams.
It's gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be a fun one.
It is
in what is considered one of the best venues in the sport. So I'm excited. I will be at my cousin's house watching it. I will likely be enjoying some beverages while I do so. But it'll be a fun night of football for sure. And hopefully they get out of there 9-2, because the schedule coming up, man, is this is the start of it. And we wanted to see like 3-2 coming out of this. At the Rams, at the Ravens, home against the Panthers, home against the Steelers, and then to Washington. So we wanted to see 3-2, and we were hoping if there were 2 losses, they were the Ravens and the Steelers.
Yeah.
Winning one of those would be even better. Because just for context, I think it's important. We're going to be focusing on the Lions quite a bit here over the next couple of months. They go at Colts, another dome, home against the Bears, another dome. So they got 2 weeks with pretty easy gameplay. But their month of December, home against Green Bay, still get a dome. Home against the Bills, they have their dome, but it's the Bills. Have to go to Chicago.
Yeah.
Just 3 days before Christmas. Not a dome. Very cold. And then on the road against the Niners, who will still probably be fighting for a playoff spot.
Yeah.
So there are very possibly 3 losses in that month of December for the Lions. So if the Eagles can get themselves out of this set of games with 3 losses, then they'll be in pretty good shape, because 3 of their December games are NFC games.
Yeah.
And the Lions could easily lose 3 games and get to 4 losses. So, and they still have the end of the year with the Vikings, who, it's rivalry.
Yeah.
Both teams would probably, they could be for the division at that point. So definitely that stretch at the end of the year. I mean, Detroit really their schedule hasn't been crazy hard to this point. As you look at it, just really hasn't been. So we'll see. All right, folks. Well, hey, thanks for hanging with us. We are always grateful for the time. Love getting to record and talk about all of our sports. So we will be back, not this Thursday. That's Thanksgiving, folks.
That's right.
So what Regz and I will talk, we'll figure something out. But we're excited to come back and recap this one, talk about the next one. Maybe there'll be a Phillies move, maybe not. But until then, make sure you subscribe here on the YouTube channel. Wherever you get your podcasts, follow, rate, do all the things. Go ahead to social media. On Twitter, it is at the Phixated Pod, at the Mic Drop 5, at Big Regz with a Z, Phixated fan page on Facebook, and at the Phixated Pod on TikTok. keep an eye on it because I'm waiting for my dance to be released.
I've been researching. I haven't decided yet, but it's coming.
He doesn't know what it is, but he knows he wants.
It's coming.
And then the merch link in the show description. Love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. We will talk to you at some point next week. Until then, be kind to yourselves. Be kind to one another. Go get Juan Soto. Go Birds.
Go Birds. Bring me Juan.
Deep to right field. Way up there and way out of here. The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.